Hi guys, and welcome to this video on the new moon in Scorpio that happens on the 4th of November 2021. Thanks for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you today as always. The chart you see next to me here, that's a snapshot of the sky at the moment this new moon happens. So I'm going to read this chart and see what the planets are doing, how they interact with one another, and what energy that brings up for you. And the thinking behind that is, if you understand what this new moon is about, you can really use the positives that it brings up for you. Usually it's in the area of being independent and a pioneer and setting new goals, and you can avoid some of the pitfalls. So the new moon in Scorpio happens at 14 minutes past 10 in the evening, and that's based on Europe time. The new moon in itself is when the moon and the sun conjunct one another and the moon is dark, and it's pulling new energy in. So in this case, it's pulling in Scorpio energy in order to complete its next 28-day cycle. So the moon is recharging its batteries. It's kind of taking a rest to contemplate and to reassess where it's been and what it's doing. And it looks at what's going to be most meaningful in the month ahead and how to plant seeds of intention, or what particular areas you want to make progress in. So the new moon is a fabulous time. It's kind of like the Four of Swords in the tarot. You're able to take a rest and step away from everything that's going on. You look at it again, you see what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and what areas you want to focus on. So it's a great time to pick and choose and to set some goals and to get very clear on what it is you're doing. It's at 12 degrees, 1 and 2 is 3. 3 in numerology is communication and new beginnings. So what am I looking at? What is important to me right now? What do I feel? And in Scorpio, which is a water sign ruled by Pluto, the planet of transformation and change, Scorpio is very good at getting to the root cause of any situation. It's intuitive, it's spiritually connected, it's creative, it's emotionally very intelligent, and it's able to look at things which are dark, and it's not scared off by them. It says, okay, this is something that's unhealed that I would like to fix. It's got a very nice can-do attitude associated with it. And it says, even though this may be unpleasant or difficult, I'm going to engage with this. I'm interested in what this wound is in my life, and I'm going to look at it in order to heal it. So it's very constructive in the sense that it says, I want to take emotional control of the situation, and I want to make a fresh start in terms of how I'm feeling and what I bring into my life that gives me a sense of I matter, I'm in control, people love me, I'm useful and productive. All of those things that make you feel grounded in a sense emotionally. So we've got the new moon here pulling all this lovely healing Scorpio energy in, and then it forms a lot of relationships with other planets in the chart on this day. So first of all, it creates a semi-square, so it's 45 degrees away from Venus at 29 degrees in Sagittarius. Venus is the planet of love and beauty and creativity, and Sagittarius is very much about exploration and discovering new things and variety and excitement and broadening your perspective. 29, 2 and 9 is 11, that's the master number of service. So Venus is very positively inclined towards you at the moment, because it says if you go out into the world and you explore and you see what's out there, it's very likely that you'll bump into someone or something who you can love, who you do feel connected with, and it brings you a sense of, my world has just got richer and more interesting and bigger. So love is a potential on this new moon. We also have the moon then forming a square, and if you look at this square, the red line between the new moon and Saturn and the descendant, you'll see that we have 3 other squares creating a big red square in the chart, made up of 4 squares. And a square is when 2 planets are 90 degrees away from each other. That's called a grand cross. And it brings a lot of energy into the chart, but it's an energy that often goes round and round, and it's difficult to land on one particular energy and to stick with it. It can feel very frazzling. So the new moon in Scorpio, it squares Saturn in Aquarius. Then Saturn in Aquarius squares Uranus in Taurus. Uranus in Taurus squares the rising in Leo. And then the ascendant, the rising sign in Leo at 8 degrees, goes back and squares the new moon in Scorpio. So first of all, the square with Saturn. Saturn is the rules. And in Aquarius, it's very much about the legal process, institutions, what society says is right and what isn't. At 7 degrees, it's creative, and it allows you to look at the framework you're operating in and to look at rules more as guidelines. So it makes you a little bit more flexible and you become teachable and you're not as rigid in your thinking. The square with Uranus and Taurus. Uranus is the eccentric, it's the unpredictable, it's the miraculous. And in Taurus, it's in the most earthy of the signs, fixed earth sign Taurus. And it says that something in terms of your circumstances is either going to be chaotic and unpredictable, or you receive some sort of unexpected blessing in terms of your finances, your security, your home life, your daily routine. That then squares the rising in Leo at 8 degrees. The rising sign is, the way I read it, is as your natural default setting. So the rising sign is what you're naturally like, and the sun is what you're moving towards on a conscious level. So the rising in Leo at 8 degrees gives you amazing self-reliance, a sense of strength. I'm capable, I can be in the spotlight, I can lead, I can entertain, I can work with others and influence them. And Scorpio is also very good at influencing people because intuitively it reads others very well. What I said earlier about it getting to the truth of any situation, Scorpios are very good at meeting a new person and just getting an intuitive hit about who that person is. And it can often be dismissed as, oh, I'm being judgmental. But that's what Scorpio does. It kind of flies below the radar and it gets to the core truth. So you have this self-reliance, you have the new moon in Scorpio saying, what needs to be healed in your life? What is meaningful? How can you bring more of it into your experience? Saturn in Aquarius says the rules are just, they're much more flexible than usual. So what is it that you really want to do? And then Uranus in Taurus is about new experiences and throwing caution to the wind. So what I think is highlighted via this Grand Cross is that you have a desire to understand yourself and to heal yourself. You're interested in how you appear in life and what is meaningful and fun and how you operate. And you want to experience new things that are thrilling and exciting and that present you with something unfamiliar. And what I don't think you're so focused on is the detail and the practical application and your work and your routine and making sure everything on your to-do list is done. The focus is very much on the inner world rather than the outer world. So with this Grand Cross, you may find that you get swept up in a bunch of paperwork, and that, if you're not disciplined about it, it takes up your whole day. Or some sort of crisis appears in your job or in your home life, and that can take up your whole day. You may be practicing your new stand-up act in front of the mirror, and that again may get out of control. So the big important thing is not to become obsessive about a particular area, but to try and operate in several different boxes, different areas of your life, and to say, okay, I'm going to spend an hour or two getting all the admin stuff sorted. Then I'll deal with whatever is unexpected. I'll try and manage that. Confidence-wise, setting goals, looking at what I can heal about my life and about my daily experience, I'll do that. So you're being asked to do quite a lot. It's a lot of homework. The good thing about a Grand Cross is that it gives you a lot of energy. But because it's this unresolved square, you can bounce around from each area. And I think the best way to combine it is to say, what has happened that was unexpected in my life recently? What are the rules I have for my life? And how can I cement these rules for myself in order to heal, in order to be happy within my existing circumstances? And what is the guidance I give myself? So you are your own life coach with this Grand Cross, because it's not asking you to act and to be productive. It's asking you to take a step back and to feel these difficult feelings and this restless energy and to say, okay, let's reflect and really understand what has happened and how can I get that so clear on this day that it becomes a kind of personal value or a rule for my own life. So it's about getting away from external control and other people doing your thinking for you and really letting the penny drop internally and saying, these are my thoughts and values and beliefs, and therefore I'm going to really work with them to make sure that I remember and I get very, very clear on who I am as an individual. So you've got yourself under a magnifying lens and you're able to see every little detail. It's really interesting. So next, what have we got? We've got, we've got that square. Then we've got the new moon in Scorpio forming a trine with Neptune at 20 degrees in Pisces. Neptune is the water planet of dreams and intuition. 1 and 2 is a relationship. 20 reduces to 2. So it's relationship. And Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac that has to do with, again, reflecting, leaving the real world behind and saying, okay, what's next for me? So Neptune opens up the whole universe in terms of what could happen, what could I be, what could my life look like. So it's kind of like, okay, I accept the present and I'm in the present moment and I can see myself very clearly. And now that I can see myself clearly, how can I project that into the future? And how can I take this version of myself that I'm happy with and that I've now healed, and how can I make that bigger in the days to come and weeks to come and months to come? So it allows you to play the tape forward and to manifest something that you really want. And that's why it's important to plant this seed of, this is who I am, this is what I've learned about myself, and I'm going to nurture that part of me and watch it grow. What I learned in my life is that the more specific you get and the more knowledge you have about yourself and what you want to do and how you want to live and where you want to live, then you can actually make those things happen. If you're vague and if you have no idea what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and again, I know that doing inner work and understanding yourself can often feel very tedious. It's like, I don't really want to know myself. I'd much rather go to the movies, for instance, you know? But it is important because when you have that specific understanding about yourself, then you can follow that up with action, which is going to create a very particular type of reality for you. And you're not at the receiving end of what the world thinks you should have. So knowing yourself and what is important to you is the most important, is the most essential thing if you want to create a kind of reality that you're happy with. I hope I'm saying that clearly. Okay, so we've got that. Then we've got the new moon in Scorpio opposing Uranus in Taurus. Okay, so the new moon in Scorpio gives you this amazing capacity to communicate with your true self and what's going on. And Uranus at 12 degrees also, so communication, news via the real world, they may be at odds with one another. So I'm doing all this contemplation, all this fabulous inner work, I'm making a lot of strides forward, but then something happens in the real world which could distract you and which could suck up half your day. So again, it's important to stay on your toes, not to let one particular thing take over the entire day. And that's what I think the main thing is to watch out for, that you don't allow yourself to be railroaded into something that seems super important, but that actually is a distraction from the inner work. And that's why making a commitment to yourself and saying, the inner work that I do is super, super important. I think that's essential to actually do the work, because if you dismiss it and say, oh, I'm being self-indulgent, or who cares what my values are, I'll just go do something else, then you're not going to be so willing to do the work. If you see the value in it, of course, then you're much more likely to engage. We've got the new moon forming a quincunx with Black Moon Lilith at 12 degrees in Gemini. Black Moon Lilith and Chiron, the way I read those two, is as the parts of the chart where your ego tries to hold you back or sabotage you. And 12, we've got another 3, communication and new beginnings. In the sign of the communicator, Gemini, Black Moon Lilith is saying, oh, don't get too certain about what it is you're thinking and feeling. Certainly don't express yourself publicly. Hold it all within. Be quiet. It's risky to talk. It's risky to be authentic. Don't share your true feelings. And with the ego, you've got to read between the lines, so that the fact that it's trying to keep you really quiet means that if you do share these insights with other people, you'll come across someone who's going through the same thing or has got experience with it, and who can allow you to get even more clarity on yourself and what you're trying to figure out at the moment. It's like a kaleidoscope. It comes together and you start to see a pattern in what's happening internally by sharing your experience with other people. And with that said, Scorpio is the water sign of the intuition in many ways, and transformative healing. So connecting with your higher self and sharing it with your guides or your angels, and just having a dialogue internally and saying, okay, this is what's going on, this is what's important. That seems very simple and easy, but it's going to have these amazing revelations for you on this new moon in Scorpio, so that you can heal things once and for all. Okay, so then we have the square with the rising in Leo. Yep, I've talked about that. Oh, we've also got Mars at 3 degrees in Scorpio, sitting 9 degrees away from the new moon in Scorpio. So they're conjunct. I use orbs of 10, so they're within that. In the traditional astrology, before kind of Pluto was discovered, Mars actually ruled Scorpio. And Mars is the male principle of drive and desire and ambition and creation and overcoming obstacles and war and all these traditionally masculine aspects. We've got another 3, which is communication. So something, if you're a creative type, you're super inspired, you're willing to work in a way that's completely different and even outrageous, you're willing to go outside of your comfort zone, you're willing to bend the rules. So if you're a composer or an artist or a writer, please make sure you engage here. Or even, so you can compose new music and create and make wonderful things happen. But if you're not quite there yet, just the plan for the book or the plan for what you want to compose or draw. Because the Scorpio new moon gives you this great understanding, and with it being a new moon, you're able to set these goals and to say, this is what I want to work on over the next month or over the next 6 months. So please either get busy creating or put the outline in place. That's really supported. And Mars in Scorpio in itself means that the masculine principle is interested in unearthing hidden truths and saying, let's get real here for a second. Who am I really? And what am I working on? And why am I working on it? And is there a point? So it's kind of like reevaluating the things that you're doing and connecting with and seeing whether they still suit you. So it's kind of like a spring clean here in autumn, in late autumn. Yeah. Like an emotional spring clean. Fab. Mercury isn't connected to the new moon in Scorpio technically, because it's too far out. It's 14 degrees away, but it is conjunct to Mars, and Mercury is the communication planet. At 28 degrees in Libra, it gives you great confidence when it says, this is what I should be expressing. And that then connects in a roundabout way with Black Moon Lilith. So Mercury in Libra is what threatens the ego so much, because you're actually very articulate and very expressive and very creative. You have this inner confidence that says, it's my truth, therefore it matters. No one else is going to get me to be quiet. So that's why the ego is putting on the brakes. And with that said, again, if you're a creative type, use this opportunity to create something really significant that you can be proud of for a long time to come. So this is an unusual, very kind of nebulous energy. But again, in my experience, it's doing the inner work and having these personal realizations, which if you write them down, they don't really seem like a lot. Or if you tell someone else, they're like, oh yeah, you had a meditation and a bit of an epiphany. Great, wonderful. But those are the things that have been truly life-changing for me. Like when I first started doing a particular type of meditation that works for me now, I became aware of my consciousness and I felt something bigger talking to that consciousness. And I was like, oh, wow, this is like a whole new life. And that experience took like 10, 15 minutes. It wasn't like, I was on a 5-day vision quest or whatever. So these kind of things may seem abstract and inaccessible, but super important. Okay, let me check that I haven't missed anything. Okay, so we've got the semi-square with Venus. Got it. Yep. Then we've got the square with... Oh yeah, okay, so the descendant is on top of Saturn and the descendant is at 8 degrees in Aquarius. So it's almost like what I'm looking for is my own set of rules, and I want to have intellectual power. And you get that by understanding yourself and then having the confidence to say, this is what works for me. These are the rules. So that's kind of what you're looking for. So do yourself a favor and provide that. Jupiter and Mercury trine each other. Jupiter expands everything. It's at 22 degrees in Aquarius, so the master number of the builder energy in the sign of the humanitarian. So good luck and good fortune comes from picking apart the rules and the information that works for you and ignoring the stuff that limits you and holds you back. So you're able to, again, pick and choose very well, which I said earlier as well. And with Mercury, your ability to communicate and to express yourself beautifully is expanded and heightened. Neptune, I've talked about. Chiron is at 9 degrees in Aries, and it trines the rising in Leo at 8 degrees. So that's the other part of the ego. And that says, oh no, don't do anything. Don't actually write or create or do inner work. Just take it easy, contemplate, and don't do anything on your own. It's bad and scary. So again, reading between the lines, it's only by contemplating on your own and then saying, this is what I've got from my meditation and this is what I'm going to do about it. That's the way to succeed. And I'm going to express myself and I'm going to let other people in and I'm going to be authentic and I'm going to set these true, meaningful, powerful intentions for myself. That's the way to do this. So what's coming to mind is years ago, I went to church with family. We went to like a Catholic church. And part of the service was that you turn around to the next person and you shake their hand and say Merry Christmas or whatever. And I remember my family were very against it. They're like, oh no, we have to shake hands here. This is terrible. And that's really what's happening. You're willing to reach out to other people. You're willing to metaphorically shake their hand and to say, I'm working with you. I'm engaging with you. My truth, I'm opening up my truth. So if you're someone who is very emotionally closed off and you don't share anything and you have the wall up, then that's something you can work on today and you can allow other people in because they're going to be a positive part of the process. And the thing is, if you don't let anyone else in, you don't get any ideas in. I know it's a risk if you can't trust anyone or if you've been in a bad situation. It's like, do I let someone else in and risk being messed around? It's important that you do take risks with other people because part of the way it happens on this day is that they provide understanding and inspiration and a mirror, and it helps you along. Yeah, so the universe works through other people on this day to a certain extent. Uranus, I've mentioned, yep. We've got, the North Node at 2 degrees in Gemini. That quincunxes Mars in Scorpio. So the North Node is what you're moving towards on a spiritual level. And again, 2 degrees is a relationship. So what I said at the beginning of the reading with Venus, the North Node in Gemini is giving me the same thing here, is that there is the potential for new relationships and new love to come in. But Mars at 3 degrees in Scorpio says, be honest with what your feelings and do something about your feelings. With the North Node in Gemini, it opens a door for you to actually walk the walk and talk the talk and do something about these things. So it opens up opportunities. So that's great because you're not just thinking I want to do something and then everything is closed to you. No, things open and you have a wonderful chance to progress in life. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. So we've got the Grand Cross. Yep. Then we've got, that's it. Yeah, I don't think I have missed anything. Nope. Just double checking. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I get for you for this new moon in Scorpio. I hope you have a lovely time. If you would like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to order your reading. And the way I've drawn up this chart, I draw up your natal chart in a personal reading. I need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. Once I have that info, I draw up your natal chart. And that tells me a lot about who you are, your default setting, what you're striving towards, work, relationships, institutions, romance, family, communication, money, personal development, spiritual development, hopes and dreams, career, life purpose. It really gives me a lot of information and it's super useful in answering questions and in getting clarity on what should I be doing with my life. So if you're interested in that, then please do get in touch with me for a personal reading via gregoryscott.com. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please. Hit subscribe and share the video online. Have a fabulous time during this new moon in Scorpio, and I'll speak to you for the daily tarot readings, the weekly horoscopes, and all the other little videos I do on the channel. I also do live tarot card sessions. So subscribe, check it out. Have a great time, and I'll speak to you soon.